I think I'm becoming a pickier reader, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I'm Nikki, the Obsessive Bookseller. Welcome to the Reading Ramble. It's been a while since I've filmed one of these. I always have a lot to say about books. I can go on for days, so it's nice to be getting back into it. The inspiration for this topic came about because I'm reading a couple things over the last several months and DNFing some series that are actually kind of good. I think most people would be appalled that I put some of these down based on how much I was enjoying them. About a 3-star read. But as I was reading multiple books at once, it became clear that I was favoring the 4 and 5-star reads over the 3-star read, and I only have so much time. So I found myself kind of DNFing those 3-star reads to focus on the books that I was really enjoying. And I've been wondering lately, when it comes to my reading, if my actions are really aligned with my values. I preach left and right, read the best books first because you may not have a chance to read them all, and life's too short to read books that you're not enjoying. Those two mantras are the backbone of all of my content creation. But then I look at what I've actually been focused on, and that's reading all the things as quickly as possible. Quantity over quality, if you will. And that is really not in line with my values. What should my goal actually be? It should be to maximize my reading experience. One is about completionism and focusing on numbers, and the other is experience-driven, focused on the quality of the things that I'm picking up. One has me feeling behind schedule and overwhelmed at the number of open series I have, and the other is a simple satisfaction that the books that I am currently reading are good and I should be just basking in those. So the brutal truth is I know I'm not going to have enough time to get through all these series unless I made that my life focus, and that should not be the point of reading. If something is not at least a 4-star read for me, I will probably DNF it. Some people might call that ridiculously too picky. Some people are appalled if you DNF a book at all. But I'm operating under the idea that I'm going to focus on the 4 and 5-star reads first, and then if I have time, once I finish all of those, once I have discovered all of those 4 and 5-star reads, then I can go back to the 3-star reads and read as many of them as I feel like. But the more I've been embracing this new mindset, the more I've come to realize that I probably will never go back to those 3-star series. There are so many good books to read. Another thing to consider is that tastes change over time. So a book that I would consider a 3-star read right now might be exactly what I want to read a few years from now. So this fear that you're going to run out of amazing things to read if you only focus on the best books first is the reason why a lot of people don't DNF books. But I would like to make a case that you will not run out of 4 or 5-star books. Now, back in the day when the science fiction fantasy market was pretty limited and the best authors, you could count them on one hand, right? And so you actually could run out of really good stuff to read back in the day. But we have so many options now and the market is so saturated, and the new books, they're just endless. So many new things to explore. I no longer think that is something to worry about. I digress. So the real kicker of all of this, I also recently read The 4,000 Weeks by Birkwood. The man is a recovering productivity addict and has the same philosophy that I've always had for myself, that if I just get through all of the things on my to-do list, then I can really enjoy these other things in life that have a lot of value and meaning to me. Ergo, if I can just read all of these mediocre series and clear my list, then I'll be free to focus on just the best books first. And that's not how it should work. It's about embracing the finitude of life and surrendering to the fact that you will not have enough time to do all the things. The real key is limiting your focus to just 1 or 2 really important things at a time, and learning to live with and deal with that anxiety that comes along that you're not getting to all the other things. FOMO in the book world is real. Anytime I watch a YouTube video, I feel that pang of, oh, I should be reading that. Oh, look at that new series. Oh, I want to know more about that. And lately, I've been limiting how much booktube I watch simply to avoid that feeling. Another thing that gets me is shopping for books. Anytime I buy a new book, I'm like, oh, I really want to read that immediately. It's perpetuating this idea of wanting more instead of being happy with what you have. And I've really been struggling with this anxiety that I'm not getting to all the things fast enough. I have so many things that I want to read. And so I start all of them at once. I have 10 books going at a time because I think that'll make me get there faster. It won't. All it does is alleviate the anxiety about not doing other things, but really I'm not making any meaningful progress on any one thing. So going forward, I'm reading 1 book at a time, and trying to focus on only 3 series at a time. I'm still fairly new at practicing dealing with that anxiety, and it's funny because I keep adding all these new systems, reading systems. I try new reading systems constantly because I think if I just find the perfect one, that anxiety will suddenly go away. No, I think the key is just accepting that that anxiety is always going to be there for me and learning how to navigate around it. And his theory states that, the more you focus on just 1 or 2 things at a time, the quicker you'll finish projects or series, and then you'll build up a confidence, and then that anxiety will feel worth it because you'll see what you're getting done. So I've been doing 1 book at a time for about 2 weeks now, and I'm planning on doing it for as long as I can stand it, and we'll see if it actually yields some results. I usually track all my incomplete series in a thread in my Patreon, and I've been really hesitant to go in and update it lately because I just know I'm so far behind in everything. There were so many open series, and every time I think about addressing it, it just stresses me out. So all of the reading systems that I've been trying lately have been to try to alleviate that stress and anxiety that I feel about like the hole that I've dug myself in. Now, in the past, back in like 2014, I joined a challenge in Fantasy Buddy Reads, the Incomplete Series Challenge, where the point was to reduce the number of outstanding series. I started with like 130 of them, and over the course of 2 years, got myself down to like 20. But it took me 2 years of effort, and I read a lot of books that I probably would not have had it not been for that drive for perfection. Now, granted, I did DNF quite a few series there, but I'm not about that life. I'm not about reading just for the sake of completion anymore. And I think it's a mental shift that has been really healthy for my lifestyle because time really is finite. I am not going to have a chance to get through all of these books, but I still have a ton of anxiety about them. So recently I read David Allen's Getting Things Done, and one of the things he suggests is that it's so hard for our brains to hang on to so many things. And so part of the anxiety I was feeling is not knowing exactly what I had outstanding, because once you write everything down and capture it in a system that you trust, then you can review it regularly and proceed with the confidence that you are in fact focusing on the most important things first. It's kind of the core of his whole system. And so I thought, why don't I try to apply that to reading? Like, I'm pretty dialed everywhere else in life, generally. So maybe I can try applying all of these self-help things that have like changed my world everywhere else to books. So I got organized. I thought, okay, 1 paper will contain the list of every books in a single series that I have outstanding, and I will just, go through like 20 or 30 of them and write down all of the open series I've got going. I mean, as you can see, I ended up tearing out the entire notebook because I have that many open series. 71, as it turns out. 71 series! Having it tangible like this as opposed to the list that I was trying to keep online is so much more helpful for me. Like, I can see that my life's bad choices have led to this moment, but what it also allowed me to do is take those pieces of paper and sort them into low priority, medium priority, and high priority. And that is exactly what I've done. So I have determined of the 71 series that I have outstanding, only 12 of them are truly high priority to me. So theoretically, I should only be focusing on books from this list and kind of letting these ones go by the wayside. And I would have a really hard time with that in the past because the anxiety of like feeling like I might forget about some of these. But see, I've got them in a little notebook now, so I'm not going to forget about them. So if I'm really serious about focusing on the best books first, I need to change my behaviors. I need to change my focus from trying to read all the books in the series that I have open to really just focusing on the best books first. I'm working so hard to get to a certain point, but my best friend Charlotte is already there and she just does it naturally. She says, well, if I wasn't really excited to pick up the next book immediately, I take that as a sign that I probably wasn't that interested in the series anyway, and I DNF it. And I'm like, that's a great idea. Maybe I could use a little more of that philosophy. The moral of the story, I think everybody should be really picky about what they're reading. Life's too short. Focus on the best books first. The other ones will always be there. Hi, my name is Niki, and I am a picky reader. So let me know what you think. Do you struggle with the anxiety? Do you find yourself reading a perfectly good book? Anxious about the books that you need to be reading next? Stressed about getting through titles quickly? Not appreciating the moment? because your TBR is endless. I would love to hear about your approach to reading. Thanks so much for joining with me on this one. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you next time. Bye.